Thank you, President Yudhoyono, for agreeing to do this interview with us here on Digital Narratives of Asia. Looking forward to hear your insights. You were the 6th president of Indonesia, a country with over 200 million people. You had an illustrious career in the military. You achieved much. And in terms of your experience in your military, how much of that did you bring into how you ran your country when you were president for 2 terms? How much of that military experience shaped you and made you the kind of president that you are?
Yes, that contributed a lot to my work as a president of Indonesia. We know that there are a set of values that we adopted in the military arena, such as can-do spirit, never give up, mission must be accomplished, and there will be always a solution to any problems. So that's important to apply all principles, all values that I exercised during my military journey. Some people say, because I was a general before joining the race, whether it is an asset or a liability. For me, it's an asset. Yes, I did understand that the people of Indonesia hate the army in the past because they thought that army did not respect democracy. And our history says that I was one of the architects of the military reforms. And the people of Indonesia knew me, that I was a general that truly respect democratic values. So with all those things, I do believe that all I have during my military career can be well applied, can be a contribution to the success of my journey in leading Indonesia.
Was there anything that, as a military leader, was there anything that probably is different from being a president?
Oh, yes, even though there are a lot of similarities in both governmental leaderships and the military leaderships. Politics is sometimes having its own rules, its own norms. So I need to adjust and to adapt with the ongoing challenge in entering politics. In the military world, the task of, say, army generals, army colonels, is to command, to exercise his command authority, and to manage military organizations. And people often say that missions must be accomplished, no discussion, no interpretations, no other alternative. In politics, of course, when I was leading Indonesia, I was also commanding as commander-in-chief. I was also leading and running the government and managing the national development. But politics is politics. Sometimes we need more.
So early in your presidency, December 2004, the tsunami struck. It was devastating. How did you, as a leader at that time of the country, how did you feel, and what did it take for you to rally your people, to rally your leaders, to put together the country and to bring everything back together again?
Seeing the scale of the destructions that was occurring in Aceh, I was so shocked. That was really big disaster. 200,000 people died or missing. So the first thing that I did was flying and coming to the disaster area. I had to see myself, the situation on the ground, before making my decision and taking actions. And because everything was flat on the ground. I thought it was also a national disaster. So we conducted very massive and intensive operation to save more lives, thanks to the Indonesian military, thanks to the international organization that also contributed to our big task. Next, of course, after about 3 months, I was establishing reconstruction agency, post-tsunami reconstruction agency, equipped with a master plan, how to reconstruct and rehabilitate Aceh after tsunami. Then finally we could rebuild Aceh after around 2 to 3 years with strong spirit, with strong determinations, and of course hard work. Remember, at that time there was still conflict in Aceh, but since day one I declared that we have to have ceasefire, no more armed conflict, in the sense that we have to stop fighting. Let's work together to help the people, to save the life of our brothers and sisters.
It's clear that you had to be firm in telling everyone to put aside our differences and work together. And earlier you spoke also about consensus building being something important for you as a president. So during your time as a president, it was a period of unprecedented stability in the country. You also served longer than any other democratic presidents. What is it, you think, that made you able to do that for your country and for yourself?
Stability is a must, is very important, because without stability we could not develop our economy. Without economic growth we cannot promote the prosperity of the people. But I did understand at that time that maintaining stability, it does not mean that I have to conduct repressive measures. I tried to choose another way in maintaining stability. I introduced the importance of upholding the rule of law to substitute the previous measures that was taken by the government of Indonesia that was in nature more repressive. If you are asking me why could I stay longer in my position compared with other leaders in the democratic era of Indonesia, probably the people of Indonesia could have both. Number one, freedom, liberty, the democracy. But on the other hand, they could have also better living standard, better prosperity. If we could give both, not we have to choose one, liberty and security, liberty and prosperity, democracy and economy, then the people will accept our policies, our leaderships. That's why I was re-elected in 2009 with stronger mandate.
So it's not one or the other?
Yes.
So you spoke about the challenges earlier. It wasn't easy for you, there were challenges. What was the most challenging situation and how did you overcome that?
There were many challenges that I faced in 10 years' time. I remember at least we encountered 3 crises. Number one, tsunami. I have talked already on our big endeavor in overcoming disaster in Aceh, tsunami. Number two, I remember when the price of oil was skyrocketing. Very big increase in the price of oil. It meant that I have to increase the price of fuel, and I have to make very difficult decision, but necessary, to increase the price of oil or of fuel up to 140%. I encountered big protests across the country, and I did realize that the people were very angry because of the decision. But I have to save the Indonesian economy. So with that decision, I have to do something to the poor community. So I developed a compensation policy, cash transfer, to help the people on the ground who face difficulties in fulfilling their daily needs. Number three, when we also encounter global economic crisis in 2008, 2009, remember 10 years before, in 1998, Indonesian economy was collapsed because we could not overcome the existing crisis. Taking that lessons, I tried to work together with all stakeholders, the cabinet ministers, the governors, the state-owned enterprises, the private sectors, the economists, to work together day by day, night after night, to find national solution, to develop national policies. And I could say happily that because of our togetherness, our cohesion with correct policies, then we could at least minimize the impact of the crisis. Our growth was going down to 4.5% from 6% and more, but only a year. We could bounce back a year after, so made Indonesia number 2 in terms of growth among the G20 members. Those 3 crises was very challenging for me because it's about my responsibility. Other challenging issues, challenging problems that I faced during my presidency were number 1, in solving armed conflict in Aceh, and number 2, in conducting reconciliation with Timor-Leste. Let me tell you firstly on how could I decide to have a peace process in Aceh. And many people did not support my ideas. They were thinking there is no dialogue, there is no, I should say, negotiation with the rebellion, with separatisms. But I kept convincing my people military operation is not the objective. The objective is ending conflict in Aceh. And Aceh was still part of Indonesia. And we could bring peace again in the province of Aceh. So I stuck to my decision, and I persuaded all sides to be on board, and finally I could make it, and we could end conflict Aceh only 1 year after 30 years of separatisms. It was also challenging. Initially, it was very difficult, but finally I received big support from the politicians, from the parliament, from the military, from the police, and of course the people of Aceh. Second challenge is how to conduct reconciliation with Timor-Leste. The leadership in Indonesia, myself, and also leaderships in Timor-Leste, Sanana Gusmao, Ramos Horta, Mari Alcaltiri, and other friends of mine, were having the same challenge, how to convince their own people that we have to enter new chapter in our bilateral friendships and relations, because when we were breaking up, the situation was very unpleasant. You remember, the emotion was high in both sides, in Indonesia and in Timor-Leste. But I tried to persuade my fellow Indonesian, let's close our past. Let's put our past behind us. Let's look at the future. Timor-Leste will still be our neighbor. Why don't we develop a strong friendship and partnership forever? It is important not only for the people of Timor-Leste, but also for us, Indonesia. In the beginning, of course, I confronted many restrictions, many opposition, but in the end, because I was consistent in persuading this policy, these actions, then we could succeed. And now I am pleased to say that Timor-Leste is one of our strong partners and close friends. And I am also maintaining my personal relationship with all leaderships in Timor-Leste. So all those things, 3 crises, 2 big challenges that I was facing during my tenure as president.
Right. You've spoken about leading Indonesia. Now let's move on a little bit to the international stage. As president, you introduced the 1,000 friends, 0 enemies policy. That's a really friendly policy. What was your thinking behind this inception of this program?
In my own experiences, after around 30 years served in the military, I do believe in several things, among others, that peace is better than war. War can be avoided by, for example, means of diplomacy. If we are talking about war, then there is war of choice and war of necessity. It means we could choose whether we should go for war or not. And confrontations, things can be avoided. In my own predictions, there will be no enemy for Indonesia in the medium run. So what we should do is build partnership, build cooperations. In my tenure, I could develop 16 comprehensive or strategic partnership with many nations all over the world.
Clearly, you enjoy working with leaders in the region as well as other world leaders. Are there personal relationships that you cherish or that you have developed over the years? And like you talked about Timor-Leste and how you still have personal relationships with that. Yeah.
I enjoy working together with all leaders, but I pay high attention to be having good personal relationship with leaders of Indonesia's neighboring countries. For example, Singapore, Malaysia, and the Philippines for ASEAN, and also Timor-Leste, Australia, and PNG. Why? Geopolitically and geoeconomically, we must be able to cooperate, to work together for the benefit of all of us. But we have to realize that among neighbors, sometimes we are facing issues or tensions that is unavoidable. It is also happening in other parts of the globe. So leaders must work together, maintaining high spirit of cooperation while finding a proper, wise, and peaceful solution. And I could say, sometimes between Indonesia and Singapore, between Indonesia and Malaysia, we are having issues here and there. But I could call directly to my good friend, Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, or my good friend, Prime Minister Abdullah Badawi and Najib of Malaysia, that we have to take care of this thing wisely, not to further escalate. And we could work together and we could find a good solution for them. There are a lot of things that we could do together, but the principle is maintaining personal relationship that sometimes is very helpful in overcoming the dispute if we may have. I was part of course, together with other leaders of ASEAN, in ensuring that ASEAN can play significant roles in the region. ASEAN should not be abstain in dealing with regional affairs, but we must be really active, sometimes proactive, in being part of maintaining peace and security and developing our regional economy. And if I could remember what Indonesia has done for ASEAN, I remember, for example, when behind the screen, I persuaded Myanmar to go ahead with democratization that Myanmar has promised already. Like other Western countries want to see Myanmar to be more democratic. But Indonesia understood at that time that the big challenges faced by Myanmar is not only the democratization process, but also maintaining national unity and security. That's why in my personal relationship with the leaderships of Myanmar, from time to time in 10 years, I convinced them that Indonesia is fully supporting Myanmar to maintain its national unity and security while persuading Myanmar to continue its democratization process. And because we were playing second-track diplomacy behind the screen, Myanmar could accept the way Indonesia played its role. Other things, I have to say that there was a dispute between Thailand and Cambodia. And I was chair of ASEAN at that time, and the United Nations told ASEAN, if ASEAN cannot solve their problems, so the UN will take as an international dispute. So I convinced other colleague ASEAN leaders that should not happen. We have to take our own responsibility in dealing with our own problems. And I convinced Ban Ki-moon, the Secretary General of the UN, my good friend as well, ASEAN will solve its family affairs. And to cut my story, I talked to both Prime Minister Hun Sen and Prime Minister Abhisit. And why don't we find good solution, win-win solution? It was firstly very difficult. Both Prime Minister Hun Sen and Abhisit did not agree with the formula of ending the dispute over several border between the two countries. I persuaded again and again, behind the screen, behind the door, until we agreed that take and give is the formula, and everything must go to the international law. So, number one, we could avoid bigger clash between the two, and the dispute went to the international forum. That's in my view. Our success in ASEAN, that could we do things internally. If we are willing to do so, we are having strong spirit to deal with our own affairs.
I like what you said about ASEAN being a family. And this family has existed for 50 years now. The ASEAN celebrates 50th anniversary. What do you think ASEAN has done right?
Couple of things. Number one, ASEAN is able to maintain its unity, its harmony, and its cohesion as a big family. We have to maintain it in the years to come, in the decades to come, as we have proven in our history. Number two, ASEAN is also a success story in gradual economic integrations. More and more, ASEAN economy is more integrated. Number three, another success story in my view is the ability of ASEAN to solve internal dispute peacefully. It is good, because if not, then ASEAN will be in trouble. That's our strength, by having spirit of cooperation, dealing with family affairs wisely, then ASEAN can really prove that all dispute can be solved peacefully, internally. We have to ensure that all those things can be well maintained for ASEAN in the decades to come.
So looking ahead, what is your hope for ASEAN after this Golden Jubilee?
Three things. Number one, ASEAN must be more united, stronger, and more advanced as a regional grouping in terms of economic cooperations, security dialogue, and socio-cultural togetherness. Number two, ASEAN must be continuously playing roles in the region, must be proactive and active. We should not disengage from what's happening in East Asia, in Southeast Asia. Number three, that is more important, ASEAN in the future must be more people-oriented, must become people-centered associations, not only intergovernmental association in the region, but ASEAN must belong to the people. The ownerships of ASEAN must be strengthened. With that, then I do believe that all people in the region, 600 million people, will be more united, and they will think and act together for the better future of ASEAN. That's my recommendation and my thought, the future of ASEAN.
What a vision that is, 600 million people sharing that vision, and is not just at a top level for ASEAN.
Yes, people-to-people contact is becoming the important pillars of our regional grouping. Remember, not only government to government, business to business, parliament to parliament, but remember, people-to-people partnership, people-to-people contact.
Thank you, President Yudhoyono,
You're welcome.
for your insights, not just on ASEAN, but your thoughts on leadership and also your journey as a president. It's been inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.